Welcome. We're about to dive deep into a really profound passage from the Apostle Paul's letter to the Romans, chapter 2, verses 17 through 29. We're going to see how this text masterfully reveals Christ by first, and this is key, demolishing every other foundation for our confidence. You know, this isn't some sentimental, feel-good passage. It's precise. It's more like a surgeon's scalpel, really, cutting straight to the very heart of the matter to reveal a truth that's deeper and far more unshakable. It's meant to perform a kind of spiritual surgery, and we're about to see exactly how.
Okay, so to really get what Paul is doing here, we have to put ourselves in the shoes of his original audience. He's speaking directly to a kind of confidence that had grown into a dangerous spiritual fortress.
For a first-century Jew, these things weren't just bullet points on a religious resume. This was their identity armor. I mean, imagine it. You were God's chosen people. You were the custodians of His divine word. This wasn't just a belief. It created this huge sense of security and, frankly, superiority.
But this is where Paul drops a bombshell. He doesn't actually deny any of these incredible privileges. No, instead, he attacks the false conclusion that was built on top of them. This idea that simply possessing God's law is somehow the same as faithfully obeying it.
And here's where things get really interesting. Paul does something absolutely brilliant. He takes the very symbols of their religious confidence and, with a powerful twist of logic, turns their entire worldview completely on its head. He shows how it can all be rendered meaningless.
Just look at how he does this. He completely dismantles this outward-only mindset. He argues that the outward sign, the circumcision, without the inward reality of a faithful heart, it actually becomes what he calls uncircumcision. It's spiritually worthless. And the flip side is also true. Someone who doesn't have the sign but keeps the spirit of the law, God sees them as truly circumcised in heart.
So what's the bottom line? It's this: God doesn't judge by our covenant badges, but by our covenant faithfulness. He looks right past all the external rituals, all the identities we construct, to see the true condition of our heart. Because, as it turns out, teaching the truth doesn't mean you're living the truth.
And you might be thinking, wow, this is a radical, new idea Paul came up with. But it's not at all. He is actually standing firmly in a long prophetic tradition, echoing a call that has been resounding throughout Israel's own scriptures for centuries. You can see this thread woven all the way through their history, from Moses warning that what God truly wants is a circumcision of the heart, to Jeremiah rebuking the people for trusting outward signs, to Ezekiel promising that God himself would one day give them a new heart. Paul isn't rejecting God's law. He's confronting its misuse, just like the prophets before him. Now, all this tearing down, this demolition work, it might seem harsh, right? But it's not about being cruel. It's actually an act of mercy. It's designed to stop every mouth, to silence every boast, and to create this void that only one person in all of history can possibly fill.
And so, the passage leaves us with this unavoidable, piercing question. If true righteousness isn't about your heritage or your external rituals, then who actually meets God's perfect standard?
And then another question rises from the rubble of all our self-confidence. Who hasn't just known the law, but has actually fulfilled it completely, from the inside out?
The standard is impossibly high, isn't it? Who has a heart that is so perfectly and completely devoted to God that there's no pretense, no hypocrisy, nothing?
And that leads to the final, ultimate question. Who has lived a life so pure, so true, that their praise comes not from human approval, but from God himself?
The answer to every single one of those questions is Jesus. He alone is the one. You see, he is the one who fulfills everything that Romans 2 exposes as lacking in us. Where this passage carves out a vacuum of human righteousness, Christ fills it perfectly and completely. So Jesus doesn't abolish the hope of God's people. He is its perfect fulfillment. He is the true Israelite. He is the one with the perfectly circumcised heart. And the most amazing part, through our union with him by faith, his perfect faithfulness is counted as ours. And that's really the whole point, isn't it? This passage dismantles our religious performances. It tears down our spiritual pride so that we can finally stop pretending. It destroys our little projects of self-justification so that Christ alone can stand as our only hope and our only righteousness. And so we land here at this glorious conclusion. After all the necessary demolition, we get this life-giving declaration. No one is righteous on their own. But a perfect righteousness has come into the world, a righteousness from God, given to us freely by grace. It's not a what, it's a who, and his name is Jesus. And that is the unshakable hope that Romans 2 leaves us with.